Well, that main event was pretty damn good. I'm John Renton with my review of WWE NXT, and you may notice this review is going up a little bit earlier than normal. Well, I couldn't sleep, so I figured why not just watch Dynamite, review that, and then watch NXT and review that, because who needs sleep? Evidently not me. Though you will probably be getting NXT on Thursday afternoons from now on, this is when you're getting it. Anyway, this show was honestly not that bad outside of a few things. There was actually some pretty damn good wrestling. I can't say I cared about everything on this show, but most of the matches had a really good pace. There's some interesting ways they could go with some feuds. There's some feuds I didn't know I wanted or even thought could possibly happen until this show. So I'm not going to say that NXT was great, but there were some pretty great parts to it. And then there was the usual shit where, holy fucking shit, there was some really, really bad stuff. And I think you can figure out what stuff I really didn't like. But anyway, let me know what you thought of NXT in the comments. So, we start off with Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez versus Casey and Caden. It's a Women's Dusty Classic semifinal match, and, well, at least Dakota and Raquel looked good in this. Caden isn't bad. Casey is a great athlete. She is not good in the ring. She is not good at all. Raquel is impressive. Dakota looked like a fucking giant next to Casey and Caden. I mean, that's just fucking frightening. Because Dakota, who is a great athlete, isn't exactly a towering individual. Raquel is, though. Casey just fucking did whatever the fuck that goddamn splash was. Remember that whole thing that she did, you know, a few weeks ago, and it was, like, absolutely goddamn ridiculous? Like, what the fuck was she trying to do? She did it somehow worse this time. She's going to hurt herself or she's going to hurt her opponent. She needs to not do that shit again. I don't care if she did a bunch of great shit on American Ninja Warrior. I don't care if she can do a bunch of great stuff and do a whole bunch of flip-de-doo-dah stuff. Don't do shit you don't know how to fucking do. Anyway, one-arm powerbomb pins Casey. Good. Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai advance. And hopefully Casey doesn't do any of that shit she doesn't know how to do. Anyway, Toni Storm promo. I fucking love Toni Storm. Got to meet her in an indie show about 2.5 years ago. Fucking sweetheart. Great in the ring. And I'm so happy for her success. She talked about facing Io and Mercedes at TakeOver Vengeance Day. There were people that wanted it to be called St. Valentine's Day Massacre. Don't know if you guys have been aware, but there's been an increase in, like, you know, real world violence. So, yeah, it was the Attitude Era. It was a different time. Vengeance Day, it isn't exactly the best name. But maybe it isn't the worst thing to leave a one-time pay-per-view name in the past. Just saying. Anyway, Regal talks to Edge, and then we see, you know, a trophy with the brass knucks, you know, referencing their 2002 feud, which, while not great, it is kind of nice that they did the nostalgia thing there. Leon Ruff versus Austin Theory with Johnny Gargano. If you are going to try to get me interested in something that Leon Ruff is doing, putting him against Austin Theory isn't the best thing, but Theory at least can wrestle in the ring. Yeah, he's a bit of a weirdo, but you have Johnny Gargano there. I just don't find Johnny Gargano interesting. He's great in the ring, but he's all over this goddamn show. This heel turn isn't working. It's like he's playing a heel more than he actually is one. And him and Candice seem like very nice people. I just don't buy this whole heel persona. They just seem to be forcing it down everybody's throats. So, they can both work. Ruff did kick Gargano quite a bit. We get a meeting of the minds. He spills to the outside, and Gargano's like, oh, you know, he's out too because he got kicked in the face a couple times. Indy and Candice try to help carry Johnny out. So, instead of trying to carry Johnny out, they basically are just like, oh, let's try to pick him up. Oh, wait, we need to wait for a spot because Ember and Shotzi run down because they're going to have a match next week. And then Ruff pulls an Eddie Guerrero. Oh no, he attacked me. And then Proud Boy Ref kicks him out. And then, you know, a TKO later pins Ruff. Now, Ruff tried to beat Theory, and you thought he would have, but nope, Theory got the victory. It is what it is. And then he attacks Ruff and then grabs the ring bell. And then Loomis suddenly attacks him and pulls out a chunk of his hair, which I hope is an extension. I think it was. Bit weird this. Don't really know what they're trying to do with Dexter Loomis. I like Dexter Loomis. He's odd, but this was strange. Anyway, we get Lego Del Monte. That's what I'm going to start calling him. Escobar, Wilde, and Mendoza are very good athletes. This act just isn't working for me. It's working more than the way, don't get me wrong. I still just don't care because I don't really care about the Cruiserweight Championship. And Escobar is the true Cruiserweight Champion. I mean, not Devlin, Jesus fucking Christ. about Kurt Stallion and Lucha House Party. Lucha, and they're still going with that. Just come up with a different name. Lucha House Party is just so fucking stupid. Anyway, and here's probably one of the stupidest fucking things I've seen on a wrestling show, and I'm talking WWE, AEW, WCW, Impact, anything. Heroes of Wrestling, you fucking name it. Any big mainstream wrestling show, if we just take Heroes of Wrestling out, we just take the totality of stuff. The Grudge Ghost. Tian Sha, I think is the name. Karen Q, I imagine, is the woman. I don't actually know. They did this whole thing that looked like if WWE, you know, had a video game license to remake Okami, only really shit. And if you played Okami, it's a beautiful game. Not exactly the best pacing, but it looked really good, and it had some really creative shit, and it reminded me of Okami. So they do this whole watercolor board thing, you know, where they tell this story. It's a great video package. It was a really cool storyboard. It doesn't belong in fucking wrestling. It's fucking stupid. It's fucking rotten. This is to tell the story of why the Grudge Ghost is what she is. Why, you know, it isn't Samara that fell down the well. No. She made a deal 1,000 years ago, or she's, you know, over 1,000 years old. She's, you know, she was a daughter of some emperor or something. I don't know. She made a deal with a dragon, but it would cost her her soul. And then she became tyrannical and evil and everything and had to make people fear her. And why? Why? Seriously. I like Xia Li. Bo, I really have no reason to care about the guy, but he seems like, you know, he's trying. But I like Xia Li. Why do you need to make it this ridiculous? Yes, Undertaker was an undead zombie that had lightning powers, and Kane had fire powers and, you know, could do that stuff and everything. He could summon the fire. Yes, it was ridiculous. It was hokey. You could sort of buy into it. You could sort of suspend your disbelief. 1,000-year-old woman that's controlling these people. This is some of the stupidest. This is not even fucking Raw. This is Nitro. This is Russo Nitro shit. This is what this is. This is fucking horseshit. This is some of the worst stuff that I've seen in a long goddamn time on any wrestling program. This is going to be on my, if I do a worst moments of the year list, this is going to be it. This has been fucking abysmal from beginning to now. And 1,000-year-old woman that made a deal with a dragon, and the dragon took her soul. So do we need to get the 7 Dragon Balls to get her soul back? And it's like, oh no, Yamcha's dead. Is that where we're going next? Is Boa going to be Yamcha? He might as well be. Xia Li deserves better than this. Xia Li looks like $1 million goddamn dollars. She really can wrestle. She has worked hard. I love Xia Li. This is fucking stupid. This is really, 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 really fucking stupid. A dragon. I swear I saw a dragon. It's like Reign of Fire, only shit. More shit. I hated Reign of Fire. I fucking hate this. I absolutely fucking hate this. And I was warned by a friend of mine. I said, you're probably not going to like this. But they finally reveal stuff about this, you know, the lady that sits in the freaking chair. God, the Emperor has no clothes and Creative has no good goddamn ideas anymore. This is really fucking bad. This actually, I almost deleted the show. I almost said no, click. I almost clicked it off and said, that's it, I'm done with NXT. But I was like, you know what? I want to see the main event. Strong and Cole against Champa and Thatcher. But before we get to that, 1,000-year-old woman that made a deal with a goddamn dragon. What the fuck? If it's actually based in Chinese lore, I do apologize. This doesn't belong in a goddamn wrestling show. At least a U.S. wrestling show. The fuck is this? Anyway, Wild Mendoza versus Metallica and Dorado. Dusty Classic quarterfinals. Flippy shit. A lot of flippy shit. My God, a lot of flippy shit. And then they did some contrived shit. And all these guys can work, I will say that. When they kept the pace up and didn't make it look like it was so goddamn stagey and choreographed, like quite a bit of stuff these days, I didn't mind. But eventually a strike/leg sweep, 1, 2, 3, pins Dorado. So I will say that it wasn't a bad match. That wasn't necessarily my cup of tea because I have no real reason to be invested in these guys, but it wasn't that bad. MSK then cut a promo and they run down Lego Del Monte, I think. And I don't mind the team of MSK. Well, I mean, the Rascals, but I don't really know why. I don't really know why I'm supposed to be invested in them. They need to do some more video packages on these guys. But they did say it's MSK all day and all night. That's going to be their thing. Dunn, Lorcan, and Birch show up, and then we get Thatcher and Champa training while Thatcher throws around his Hammer Brothers hammer. Here's Dunn and Co. Dunn says, I'm not waiting. I said I was not waiting for Balor. I snapped his fingers. Don't make me, don't make me, basically don't make me wait any longer, essentially, is what he's saying. And then here's Balor. You're hiding behind those two clowns. So Dunn sends them off. And then Dunn says, well, first chance I get, you better hold on to that title tag. First chance I get, I am going to take it. And then here's Edge. Oh, this feels good. That, he's in NXT. Oh, no, is he going to challenge for the NXT Championship? That would certainly be interesting. And he says he watches shows as a fan, and he sees passion. This place helped him find his passion, get back to, where after 9 years he competed in the Rumble, and then he won this year's Rumble, so good. And I actually believe that. Edge seems very genuine with that. He did say that, he says, I can challenge any champion in this company. Puts over both guys. Says about Dunn, I see a lot of good. I see a lot of me in you, both good and bad. Yeah, I would have shrugged my shoulders like that 10 years ago, kid. And says to Balor, it's like, well, it's like you're in a zone that's special to watch. And he might actually choose the NXT Championship. He won't. He fucking won't. It would be interesting, but he won't. It was a nice hook. This isn't a bad way to use a veteran. At least Edge is willing to go full bore, and Edge can actually do stuff in the ring, unlike Sting. If I want to make it about AEW, WWE, or AEW NXT, let's be perfectly honest. If we get into a pissing contest, using Edge like this isn't the worst thing in the world. You want to try to make the bosses happy, you got to try to do something. Anyway, this is good. This is a good promo battle. Gargano, then, speaking of promos, is allowed to cut one. And he's upset at the, interviewer and says, no, I'm going to get you fired because obviously you're speaking out of turn. I'm going to take you to Regal's office. Kushida is talking to Regal and says, no, he's busy. Then they brawl. Kushida pretty much lays a lot of shit into Gargano. Like he threw him into a door and it looked like he actually hit his head. So I hope he's actually all right. Not that he could damage much of a brain up there because I don't think Gargano's got one left. But I hope he actually is okay because he looked like he was selling quite a bit. But they are going to face off for the North American Championship at TakeOver Vengeance Day. They're going to spread VD cheer. You know what? I'm going to roll with that actually because some of the show was kind of like BD. So anyway, Jessica Kamea with Aaliyah and Robert Stone versus Toni Storm. I love Toni Storm. And after a minute, Mercedes Martinez jumped in, caused a DQ. Io Shirai shows up. Marching down and says, hey, I'm just going to sit here. Now I'm going to do a moonsault. And that's about it. It's going to hype up the three-way that they're going to have at TakeOver Vengeance Day. I'm just going to keep saying that. Maybe it won't sound so stupid to me. Kurt Stallion promo. It was better than the one he cut before. And he's talking about how he's going to win the championship. And then Grimes is going to be back next week. I want to say right now that Grimes, yes, old tweets surfaced of Cameron Grimes when he was Trevor Lee being a few tweets where he was really racist. I'm not excusing racist behavior. I'm looking at his age. When I was a teenager to about still like in high school, I was racist and homophobic and stuff like that, and I realized I had to change. There was something that happened that caused me to change. I don't know if he still feels like that. If he does, still feel that way, then he's going to get exposed. Karma's going to get him. If he was fucking stupid and realized he had to grow up and stop being that way and now he's better, then I think we need to give him the benefit of the doubt on that. That much I'll say. But again, if he still feels that way, karma will get him. You can't live your life with that much hate. You really fucking can't. You live like that, it's going to hurt you. Anyway, we then get Kurt Stallion getting no TV entrance versus Escobar for the Cruiserweight Championship. So Scarlett is just watching from one of the perches, and Stallion did some shit, Escobar did more shit, and Escobar beat him. That's really it. And then here's Cross. He lays out the goons, he faces off against Escobar because Escobar has been calling himself the champion of champions, and Cross doesn't like that. And basically says he's going to give him time, but that he is going to possibly face him soon. Maybe a takeover, who knows. And then Edge is in the parking lot talking to somebody. And then here's Cross. Hey, I didn't realize I wanted this feud. I like this a lot more than the idea of Cross versus Escobar. Not that it's unbelievable, I just don't care. Cross versus Edge? Yes, please. So, we get Undisputed Era, Strong and Cole versus Thatcher and Champa, Dusty Classic quarterfinal. And this is good. Well-paced. Love the submissions. Love the strikes. They laid this shit in. They took it seriously. I really can't say a ton more about this goddamn match because it was just fan-fucking-tastic. Also, it kind of just fucking, tired myself out talking about the 1,000-year-old woman that made a deal with a dragon that, that took her soul. Now we need to get the Dragon Balls. Anyway, I like the submission usage. I like the strikes. I like how they took this shit seriously. Big superplex by Strong. We get the hot tags to Cole and Champa. Or the tags Cole and Champa. We get a double submission spot. We get move spamming. And then Strong basically lays out Thatcher out there, but then gets hit with Willow's Bell in the ropes. 1, 2, 3. Champa and Thatcher move on to face the grizzled young veterans who they stare down. And then they have a bit of a brief scuffle. That'll be a pretty good match to, see what happens next week. But let me know what you guys thought of NXT in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Twitter handle in the description. And I'm John Ritland. I'm not making a deal with a 1,000-year-old dragon, I'll tell you that much. Maybe a 500-year-old dragon. Maybe the dragon from Dragonheart. Moving on. Anyway, I'll see you soon.